Namaste and welcome. So today we are going to go over the Ayurvedic perspective on the mind-skin connection. So starting with the prakriti, we will start with the Vayavya prakriti. The primary doshas involved is Ranjaka Pitta, prevalence of flow, and the Agni, Ranjaka Agni, which is the processing of the neuroreceptors. The krimi, or the pathogens, are generally intracellular pathogens, and those could be bacteria, aerobic or anaerobic, or gram-positive or gram-negative. And the vritti, or mental fluctuations generally occurring in this prakriti, is pramana, over-dramatizing, and the mental infirmity, or manasroga, is brahma. So this could take place in the form of anxiety or vertigo, hallucinations, etc. And the main dhatu involved here is mamsa dhatu, the intracellular fluids. And the kaiva gunya is the cervical disc, usually. That's the compromised location. And the srota, main srota, is mamsavaha srotas. And the origin generally is in the cecum, which is on the left side, opposite your appendix. And the bhavas, or the signs, are generally starting with changes in skin. The indriyati vikritis are these sense alterations. It could be abnormal texture or temperature, feeling heat, or feeling some texture that might not be visible. And the angavaya vikriti, the physical alteration, could be blackheads and large pores. The Vayavya Prakriti in particular are prone to these. And the dravyas of choice internally would be haritaki and bibitaki. Externally, we would go with sandalwood hydrosol. And the karma, or action, that these dravyas provide are both dosha prashamana and dhatu pradushana, because we want to control the respective doshas as well as detoxify the respective dhatus and shrotas. And so the main karma for these conditions of the blackheads and large pores and similar conditions is the pachana, processing, and the hridya, which would be heart-pleasing. So the combination of those karmas helps to jumpstart change towards healing. And the tridanda, or tripod of life, is very important to make sure that we have apunarbhava, meaning we don't want it to recur again. So for that, we would need to have three things: good, beneficial ahara, nidra, and brahmacharya. So for the Vayavya Prakriti, the hitahara would be almonds, blueberries, organic peanuts. Those are just some examples. And harmful food, which we'd want to avoid as much as possible, would be strawberries, refined sugars, and fish. The mental state, which would be best conducive to health and well-being, would be rajas, having the positive flexibility. So when various situations come up, that could be a trigger word to remind those of the Vayavya Prakriti to just remain flexible. And in terms of brahmacharya, control of senses, it's very beneficial for this Prakriti also to keep in mind to let go of any stubbornness, and that will also help. So with that, we'll move on to the next Prakriti, which is the Akashia Prakriti. Primary dosha, Brajaka Pitta, Brajaka Agni, main Agni. So there is some trouble processing the subtle particles, and for that, the krimi, yeast in particular, becomes prevalent. And the mental fluctuations, or vritti, that happens affects the nidra. It's stagnation that really is conducive to the yeast being able to grow and protrude. And the Manasaroga, mental infirmity, is apatantrika, which generally could be in the form of convulsions or autism or different paranoias, phobias, etc. And the dhatu's main dhatu that's affected is medo, the lymph, and the kaivagunya, the pancreas duct in particular, is prone. And the srota, medavaha, the lymph channels, the agati or origin is generally in the pancreas. And the first signs that might come about are changes in hearings. It could be in the form of abnormal sounds. And the angavaya vikriti, physical alteration, generally are wrinkles or skin creases, cracked skin, cracks in the heels, sometimes in the hands, etc. And the main dravyas of choice here are Shatavari and Bidanga. It's a powerful combo, externally organic aloe oil. And the karma, which we really want to bring here in this condition for Akashia Prakriti, is the Shamana, pacifying, as well as the Vayastapana, age-defying properties. And for these conditions, Hittahara beneficial food would be almonds and blackberries, tangerines, and the food to help avoid or ahita would be lime, orange, beef, etc. The mental state which we want to sustain to avoid having recurrence, the apunarbhava we mentioned earlier, is to have consistency. And this means consistency in routines like sleeping, eating, meals on time, etc. And the control of senses in particular would be intercourse here. So just not excessively. And so we will move on to the Apia Prakriti. Primary dosha involved, alochika pitta, alochika agni, processing of stimuli is malfunctioning. So it allows for the creamy, especially the extracellular pathogens. These could be fungus or parasites, and the mental fluctuations brought on overthinking what to eat, what to do, how to respond, different things. And the Manasaroga is Murcha, so this could be in the form of depression or OCD, being super particular about stuff. The Dhatu involved Rakta, extracellular fluids, and the Kaivagunya would be vertebral extracranial nerves in particular, among others, but that is the main one, the Srota, Raktavaha Srotas. And the Agati origin generally starts in the cervical esophagus, so this upper part of the esophagus. And the bhava signs changes in tongue. So this could be in the form of abnormal taste. Maybe after eating sugar, you feel kind of like a weird taste. It could be different sensations on the tongue. And the Angavaya Vikriti generally are whiteheads or the pustules or brown spots, small bumps, etc. And the dravyas of choice here are Triphala Gugalu and Bhumiyamalaki, along with frankincense hydrosol externally. The action karmas that we're going for are Dipaniya, digesting, and Anulomana, recalibrating. And the Hitahara, black sesame, walnut, kumquat, and food to avoid, dairy, eggs, and chicken. The mental state, similar to Akashia Prakriti, the Apia Prakriti should try to maintain consistency in sleeping, meal schedules, etc. And the brahmacharya in particular would be trying to control a sense of ego and not letting it get in the way. Next, we'll move on to Tejasya Prakriti. Primary dosha involved is Sadhaka Pitta, prevalence of aspiration, Agni, Sattvic Agni, the processing of neurohormones. And this allows for creamier pathogens, very opportunistic, aerobic and anaerobic pathogens. It could be bacteria, gram-positive or gram-negative, parasites, yeast, and then the vritti or mental fluctuations that generally occur, misconstruing things in the manasaroga, mental infirmity, unmada. So this could be in the form of addictions or panic attacks. The dhatu main affected is rasa dhatu, intercellular fluids, Kaligunya, compromised location, mainly the mammalian glands, the srota, rasavaha, intercellular fluid channels. The main agati is in the appendix, right here on the right side, right above your right hip. And the bhavas or signs or changes in the eyes, and this could be in the form of indriyartha vikritis, sense alterations, in the form of abnormal vision, abnormal color, seeing dots in the eye, or double vision, or colors, etc. The Angavayavya Vikriti, physical alteration, generally are acne, pimples, rosacea, etc. And the dravyas of choice here are Kumari and Manjishta, and externally neroli hydrosol. Smells beautiful too. And the dosha prashamana and dhatu pradushana, the respective actions that we're going for are lekhanya, removing, and varnya, beautifying. The hitahara are black grapes, kale, purple carrots, and the ahitahara, vinegar, shellfish, cheese. Mental state here, which would be key, is rajas, flexibility, similar to vayavya prakriti. Just remaining flexible in different situations when change comes about, not getting flustered over it, and the brahmacharya, control of senses, especially anger. Krodh, that is the one that is very difficult to maintain, but if you can remember just being flexible and checking your anger, that would be definitely helpful here. And lastly, we have the Parthiva Prakriti. Primary dosha involved is usually Pachika Pitta and Pachika Agni, processing of the gross particles. And the very opportunistic pathogens that come about are the interstitial pathogens. It could be in the form of parasites or fungus, bacteria, either aerobic, anaerobic, gram-positive or gram-negative. And then the Anubandha Karana is Vikalpa, being very regretful, like, oh, we shoulda, coulda, woulda type of thing. And the Viprakrishta Karana, forced cause here, in the form of mental infirmity or manasroga, is Apasmara. And that could be a variety of things, just a few examples. It could be epilepsy or personality disorders, things like that. The main dhatus affected is Asti dhatu, interstitial fluids, Ka in subcutaneous tissues. That is the deeper layer of the skin. Astiva hasrotas, interstitial fluid channels are the main srota involved. And then the agati or origin are the ureters generally. And the signs or bhavas that come about are changes in the nose in the form of indriyartha vikritis, sense alterations such as abnormal smells, and the physical alterations or the angavayavya vikriti that come about are a thickening of the skin or swollen bumps, moles, warts, boils, and other growths. So the dravyas of choice here are Vidanga and Bringaraj, along with Bakuchi oil externally. It's a powerful combo. And the karma that we're going for here with these dravyas are Shotahara, training, and Balya, which is strengthening. And lastly, with the Tridanda, tripod of life, for ahara, we have carrot, celery, and lychee, which are hitta ahara. And ahita ahara include mushrooms, potatoes, cauliflowers. And the nidra mental state important to maintain would be balance. So, not too much, not too less, not being excessive about, whether it's eating or food or excessively sleeping. So, just maintaining a good balance there. And lastly, brahmacharya in the form of controlling the senses, in the form of greed. And that means, just not being stingy, being generous where it's called for, and just having a big heart. So, with that, thank you so much for tuning in. And